Yeah, I'm Tim Brandewie from the Division of Emergency Management and Public Safety. I'm the planning officer here, and I'm primarily responsible for the writing and maintenance of emergency plans for the city for a variety of scenarios. I enlisted in 1981, immediately out of high school, into the U.S. Navy, and after completion of my basic intelligence schools, I was assigned to amphibious units throughout most of the 80s on the West Coast, working with the Marine Corps. And then later in the 80s, I got recruited, went over to Special Operations, and spent most of my time doing joint Special Operations work with the other services until I retired in 2002. Afghanistan was the last place I'd served.
Hi, my name's Rob Hammons. I've been with the Lexington-Fayette-Urban County Government Division of Planning since 1999. I'm a senior planner working in transportation planning. I served in the U.S. Army from 1982 to 1986. I served with the 82nd Airborne, 3rd of the 325 Airborne Infantry Regiment. I served in South Korea on demilitarized zone. I served with the 101st Airborne in the 1st 50 Deuce Airborne Infantry Battalion.
My name is Tyler Scott. I'm the legislative aide to Vice Mayor Linda Gordon, and I served in the U.S. Army. I was in college. I was in my sophomore year on September 11, 2001, and I was ready to drop out of college that day. I had called my father, my grandfather, whom both had exemplary service in the military, and talked about it. They were both officers in the Army, and they were able to paint a broader picture for me, more of a long-term approach to it rather than dropping out without any college behind me. I would have gone in, enlisted, and they saw me as, at least in my desire to make an impact, that I could serve a bigger role as an officer, which I needed college to be able to do. So they encouraged me to finish college before I did that. Middle of 2004, I graduated college, and I started talking to my recruiter. I went through all the steps, and I was ready to go. I had my packet and everything ready to go. I shipped out, like I said, January 11th, 2005. I went to basic training, and then basically just school after school after school until I got to my final post.
The Special Operations community in the U.S. military is units like Special Forces, Green Beret, the SEAL teams, where I was. And in the late 80s, all the Special Operations forces were combined under a single unified command, so we all became a single unit. And kind of as the name implies, primarily do specialized operations in support of broader military objectives, whether it be reconnaissance, raids, whatever the case might be. So we were a joint community. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed working with all the other branches of the service, and you always had work in that business. So.
Basically, my career management field was infantry. I was in heavy weapons. I worked with what they call the tow gun, which was an anti-tank missile system. It was a very powerful system. It's still in use today, and it was pretty heavy. When we packed it around, there was parts of it that weighed up to 55 pounds, and it would shoot about 2.5 miles. So it was a really awesome weapon system. They called it the tube-launched, optically tracked, wire-linked, command-guided missile. It was a anti-tank missile system. This system was part of a team where you had a squad leader, loader, and a gunner. And I was gunner and squad leader. And this missile system would shoot anti-tank rounds out to 3,750 meters, and it would go through 15 feet of concrete and 18 inches of homogeneous steel.
I was an airborne infantry officer. So to get to that position, I went from basic training to officer candidate school. From there I became a commissioned second lieutenant. And then you go on to your follow-on, your branch school, which is your infantry, your aviation, whatever it may be. From there, I was required to go to several other specialty schools. So I completed Ranger School, and then Airborne School. And so in total, it was almost 18 months of nonstop training before I actually got to a unit. And so that's what I do. When I got to my unit was I got to the 82nd Airborne, 1st Battalion of the 504th Parachute Infantry Regiment. I met my platoon out in the field in the middle of a intensive training cycle. Didn't know a guy out there's name. Was thrown out in the middle of the training exercise in the middle of the night. And there I was, a brand new second lieutenant, taking charge of, without any idea what I was really getting myself into.
The first combat operations I was involved in were in Central America and in invasion of Panama. But our units participated first Gulf War, did a lot of time in Bosnia and the former Yugoslavia, North Africa, Persian Gulf. We're pretty well deployed all over. As I said, it was an odd time because the Soviet Union had collapsed, and there was kind of a period in the U.S. military where they weren't really sure what the role was going to be moving forward. And then the Special Operations Community just seemed like a great niche. It was, I really enjoyed it.
What it meant to me to serve in the military was to serve my country mainly, and also I grew up, a lot of my uncles and my dad and my grandfather, they were in the Navy and Army and Marines and all the services. I chose the Army because I always wanted to jump out of airplanes, and I got to do that with the 82nd Airborne, and I really wanted to serve my country.
I'm a pretty humble guy. I don't have a lot to brag about. Doing my own, but no, I enjoyed my experience, and I feel that I stayed in just the right amount of time to always be able to look back on it positively. I knew far too many people who I think kind of overstayed their own welcome and now have nothing but disdain for the things they did. And I think a lot of those voices kind of taint the overall picture of the military today. But I think there's still so much good in it, and I think that we've got a lot of very dedicated, very capable servicemen and women that are still serving today that deserve more than just our thank yous and our shallow respect. They deserve our support in every other way before, during, and after deployment.
I think especially in public safety, in emergency management, I think a lot of the skill set you need to be able to manage information in a crisis, to be able to plan and prioritize missions and execute assignments. I think that training you get in the military, that immediate focus on getting the job done, keeping focused, translates very easily over to public safety operations. If we have, disaster here, if we have destructive weather, it's all about getting information, figure out what your mission is, and prioritize your responses and do the best you can to recover and protect the citizens of the county. So I think it's that focus on you have serious circumstances, or you have a crisis, you have stress, and that happens. We've had our share here in Fayette County, and I think serving in the military kind of prepares you to focus and get on things like that successfully.
My military training prepared me for about anything, because it prepares you physically and mentally to be able to work long hours, prepares you to be able to do one job and then switch to another job quickly without worrying too much about the details, and helps you follow orders, and it's been a good experience for me, because I worked in a lot of different jobs when I got out of the military, and went to college, and my military experience always gave me what I felt was an edge to be able to work hard and to get the job done.
It's interesting. This is actually something that came up in my job interview with the vice mayor. I said, as an aide, I've on some levels I've done this job before, because as I was promoted from platoon leader to executive officer of an airborne infantry company, I was essentially the second in command of the company, of our airborne infantry company. And and the similarities are there's many to go down the list. You represent the commander, in this case the vice mayor, in their absence. You make decisions in their absence. Everything you do is a reflection on them. You are responsible for all the logistics behind all the movements, the planning, the behind the scenes planning for every event that's coming forward, and all the here would be the day-to-day interactions with constituents, the memorandums to go out to make changes in committees, and to get the right research ready for particular initiatives, things like that. All the behind-the-scenes process work that needs to be done for the big picture to all come together.